What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is Legitical Response, and we have still an ongoing active hoax unfolding in front of our eyes. Now, I know you guys that watched the video the other day, I already covered this, but the corporate press and the mainstream narrative machine is still trying to propagate this hoax. Once again, what they are doing is they're trying to push these ideas on you, just constantly lie to you, until you start to believe it, until you start to doubt the reality that is surrounding yourself, until you start to question, hang on. Did it really happen like they say it's happening? Because that's what they do. It's so manipulative that it's just crazy what they're trying to do. They have stopped becoming journalists and are just activists. That's all they are. And as a matter of fact, my next video is going to dive deep off into that subject. Right, we've got this crazy article coming from The Hill. I'm going to cover. It's going to come out tomorrow morning, so be sure to tune in to check that out, you guys. But let's go ahead and get into this. What CNN does right here is absolutely despicable in my eyes. They interview one of the Gold Star family members, right? This lady gets up there, starts talking about her daughter who was killed at Abbey Gate, one of the 13, and she starts crying. And this dude is trying to force her to say something bad about Donald Trump, and it absolutely blows up in their face. But we're going to go through this step by step and break this down. Once again, debunk the mainstream narrative machine, debunk the corporate press. But right quick, just as of this morning, okay, so this happened the other day, and we've already covered it and broke it down and debunked it. But as of this morning, here are a few headlines from the corporate press trying to break all this garbage down. Let's read some of these right quick, and then we'll get into CNN. It was a setup. Could have been the parents. Trump tries to blame Gold Star families for Arlington cemetery scandal. Like, what? The article is outright ridiculous, coming from Colorado, the Daily Boulder, as a matter of fact. And then we got from Political Tribune. Trump appears to insinuate that Gold Star families were possibly to blame for video leak at Arlington Cemetery. No lie, y'all. Trump on Arlington National Cemetery furor. I don't need publicity. Like, huh? And then from Chicago, y'all. Trump defends conduct at Arlington Cemetery, right? Insinuating that his actions need defending. Trump didn't do anything. As a matter of fact, it was a Trump staffer, reportedly, right? But according to what I can gather, it was some Trump deranged lunatic come up and tried to block their path from going into Section 60 of the cemetery and tried to take the cameras from the Trump team because they weren't supposed to be there videoing, right? It's illegal to video for political purposes. And that's the narrative that they're trying to sow. But we'll break all that down. We will break all that down, y'all. Here's one more. A defense. Trump tries to limit the fallout of the Arlington clash. These people are just outright nuts, y'all. But let's get in. Let's see what CNN has to say.
Former President Donald Trump visited the cemetery following a wreath-laying ceremony to honor those who lost their lives that day. He did so at the invitation of the families. A video of the visit posted by the Trump campaign on TikTok showed the former president walking through Arlington and visiting grave sites. It's a violation of federal law to use cemetery footage for campaign purposes. Prior to Trump's visit to Section 60, that's an area in the cemetery largely reserved for the graves of those who served in Iraq and Afghanistan. Campaign officials were made aware of federal laws which prohibit political campaign or election-related activities. They were asked not to take photos or videos for that purpose. The grounds are considered sacred and hallowed.
Okay, so that's the narrative. Everybody that watched the video the other day knows my views on this, right? So it is illegal for them to film for political purposes, to hold campaign events, any of that garbage at the cemetery, right? But let's walk this back. Okay, so they're insinuating that it's illegal to do this, as if that's what Donald Trump done, as if they went there for political purposes, right? That's the only reason they went there. Once again, like I said the other day in my video, just because the guy's running a campaign doesn't mean he stops being a human, doesn't mean that he doesn't do human things. The Gold Star families asked him to come to lay the wreath down, right? That's not a political thing. This is not a political event. He's not doing this strictly for political purposes. Now, like I said, to be fair to Donald Trump, to be fair to these people, to the corporate press, because I'm going to try to be fair, right? Once again, I am biased, but I'm going to try to point out when we have some issues going on with Donald Trump. I'm not going to be totally occultist and be like, oh, no, Donald Trump did nothing wrong, right? Now, to say that this had no political purpose whatsoever would be wrong. If Donald Trump comes out and tries to say that, which, honestly, he hasn't said that at all yet. If he tries to say that this serves no political means, no political agenda, he's an outright liar. He's lying, just straight up, because it does. Most certainly it does. But was the main motivation behind doing this political? I don't think it was. Right? This wasn't a scheduled campaign event. He stopped what he was doing to go do this for the Gold Star families. Has nothing to do with politics, right? Like I said, it plays a role, but it's tertiary. It's in the background, right? It's not the main reason he's here. Not the main reason whatsoever. But this is what the mainstream narrative machine does, folks. They try to get out there and propagandize you like, oh, Trump's bad for breaking the law. Well, guess what? You think if Trump really broke the law, right? They have no problems going after Trump on bogus charges, and we all know that. If they would have actually broken federal law, do you think there wouldn't be an indictment? Do you think they wouldn't be going after him? Like, immediately go after him for this. Right? There's no way to prove it was political. As a matter of fact, there's lots of evidence to say to the contrary. But let's keep going. Let's get into this disgusting, just outright vile moment from CNN.
An Army spokesperson said an employee who attempted to ensure adherence to these rules was, quote, abruptly pushed aside. The statement goes on to say, consistent with the decorum expected at ANC, this employee acted with professionalism and avoided further disruption. The incident was reported to the police department, but the employee subsequently decided not to press charges. Therefore, the Army considers this matter closed. Since Monday, accounts from the scene have varied. Former President Trump has insisted there was no violation of law. Communications director for the Trump campaign, Stephen Chung, posted on X that the campaign was granted access to have a photographer there. Chung also disputed claims of a physical altercation and has said there's video to back this up, yet none has been released thus far. Former President Trump published a statement on Truth Social from 5 family members thanking him for making the visit and saying, "We are deeply grateful to the president for taking the time to honor our children and for standing alongside us in our grief, offering his unwavering support during such a difficult time."
All right quick. Notice they didn't give you all the evidence. For the people that watched my video the other day, we read that entire letter. We know that they also say in that letter that there was nothing wrong, right? Let's go ahead and read that letter right quick to get that out of the way. It's just funny how they cherry pick from this. It's just crazy. Let's read the whole thing right quick so we get the full context. I can't stand the corporate press and the mainstream narrative machine for doing this. We would like to express our heartfelt thanks and appreciation to President Donald J. Trump for his presence at the recent Section 60 gathering, honoring our children and their fallen brothers and sisters on the 3-year anniversary of the Abbey Gate bombing. The president and his team conducted themselves with nothing but the utmost respect and dignity for all of our service members, especially our beloved children. We had given our approval for President Trump's official videographer and photographer to attend the event, ensuring these sacred moments of remembrance were respectfully captured, and so we can cherish these moments forever. We are deeply grateful to the president for taking the time to honor our children and for standing alongside us in our grief, offering us his unwavering support during such a difficult time, and his compassion and respect meant more than words can express. I wonder why they left some of that out. I wonder why they just cherry-picked from that letter. Didn't say that they told Donald Trump that to bring a videographer and a photographer to film the event for remembrance purposes, not for political purposes. So what are they talking about? Why are they trying to propagate these lies? Why are they trying to tell us they're trying to once again portray a hoax on Donald Trump? Donald Trump has to be dismissed with the utmost urgency, for crying out loud. He's an evil orange man, and shut up if you think otherwise, right? And the despicableness of these people is insane. Let's get into the actual interview.
Joining me now is one of those family members, Christy Shamblin, mother-in-law of Marine Corps Sergeant Nicole G. G, aged 23, was deployed to Afghanistan, where she served as a female engagement team member to help facilitate evacuation support for Afghan women and children. She was killed in a suicide attack along with 12 other service members that day, leaving behind a husband. I'm so sorry for your loss, and I'm trying to understand what exactly went on Monday. You wanted the former president there. By the way, I think it's a wonderful thing that he was there, reflective and honoring our war dead. But it crossed a line at some point. How do you see it?
Well, first, I want to remind everybody that it's really hard to find a way on August 26th to celebrate, and we want to celebrate our heroes. We invited both President Trump and the Biden-Harris administration, and we didn't hear back from the White House. We were happy to welcome President Trump to lay wreaths with all three of our families and our wounded, some of our wounded from that day. And when he came to Section 60, it was at our request to spend time with our loved ones. There was not a press presence there. We privately took pictures among ourselves. And it was, a more celebratory feeling for that day, because, we want to celebrate our loved ones, and it's very hard to find ways to do that at a cemetery. But they were very respectful. We didn't see any altercation, and really we just want our loved ones to be honored and remembered in a positive way.
I mean, just how despicable can you get? He's trying to push the narrative. He's trying to tell her, hey, this crossed a line. He shouldn't have done that. Like, what? How do you see it? And then she goes to blow apart his entire narrative by saying, no, we wanted him to be there. It was great. We didn't see an altercation. As a matter of fact, they requested that the Biden-Harris administration show up, and Joe Biden or Kamala Harris, nobody from the freaking White House shows up. How disrespectful can you be to the people that fight for this country, fight for your freedoms? You can't even show up when asked. You're the leader of the free world, for crying out loud. But we know Joe Biden doesn't care. We know during the dignified transfer, he was sitting there looking at his freaking watch. Right? We've heard the comment from one of the Gold Star family members. The guy was pissed. He said during that, he wanted to get up and shout at Joe Biden, "It's 2:30. Right? Like, come on, Joe. Like, what are you doing? Like, these people are just despicable. CNN is absolutely despicable for this. This lady is tearing up because the loss of her daughter-in-law, right? Now, I understand that's not her actual daughter, but there's still a lot of love there, you can tell. She's tearing up on this interview, talking about this. And these people are trying to push a narrative on this. It's one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen. But let's keep going. This lady is awesome, by the way. She breaks these people's nerve to continue living, if you will. Check this out. This is great.
So I hear and respect all of that. At the same time, I have to say he should not have used the video that was recorded in TikTok for a campaign purpose. Can we agree on that?
I'm not on TikTok, so I don't know what it is. But there's no political campaigning that was done at Section 60 that day.
Right.
It was a respectful time.
I'm showing what was put on TikTok so that the audience can see it. And I recognize you might not be able to see it. We didn't lose one person in 18 months, says the narration. And then they took over that disaster, the leaving of Afghanistan. We lost 13 great people. I mean, it's got a message of saying, I did right by our soldiers, and Biden and Harris did not. I mean, up until that point, I get it. It's great that he's there. Family members want pictures. Terrific. Take the pictures. Do whatever the family members want. But he shouldn't have put it on TikTok for a political purpose.
The corporate press and the mainstream narrative machine, these people are supposed to be the fact bringers. They're supposed to say, hey, when they do something wrong, they're supposed to question that. They're not supposed to push these narratives. This guy is outright trying to tell you for a fact that he knows something in Donald Trump's head, Donald Trump's team, that they put this out there for political purposes. Right? That they filmed, that they went there for political purposes. Like I said in the beginning. Not saying it doesn't serve a political purpose, because it most certainly does. But once again, they didn't go there for a political purpose. This wasn't a campaign stop. This wasn't something that was scheduled for him to go do for political purposes. Donald Trump is a human freaking being. These people are so despicable, trying to get this lady to destroy Donald Trump's legacy, trying to say something bad about Donald Trump when they should be praising Donald Trump for this, because Joe Biden didn't show up and he is the one responsible, right? He's the commander-in-chief. He's the one that ordered these people, that ordered the Afghanistan withdrawal. So he's in charge of all of that. So any deaths fall upon him ultimately, right? Like, I'm not going to say that Joe Biden actually did it, right? That would be ridiculous. But ultimately, the responsibility as far as military falls upwards, which you can't see that these days. These people don't take no responsibility whatsoever, right? Joe Biden didn't fire anybody over this, which is mind-blowingly insane. But I'm not trying to get off onto some rant. Let's watch this lady destroy the mainstream narrative machine.
Well, you know, I just have to go back to, we really just want our kids to be remembered and honored. And it's unfortunate that we can't get that, you know, in other ways. So we support President Trump, and he's supported us.
A final question, if I might. Do you worry that the issue, the legitimate issue of the way in which we left Afghanistan and the circumstances 3 years ago at Abbey Gate now sort of diminishes as an issue, because when people think of Afghanistan, the withdrawal, it'll be the controversy over Arlington instead of a very appropriate focus on the death of those 13? Final thought on that?
I think our media needs to do a better job of focusing on the Afghanistan withdrawal instead of things like this that aren't really relevant or important. I mean, we were very respectful. I understand that there may have been, you know, a little bit of a misunderstanding, but we'd like to take the focus back to, just like you said, let's talk about how we left all the equipment behind. Let's talk about the Americans and the Afghans we left behind. Let's talk about the people we brought over that weren't vetted. Let's talk about the wounded. And that's what we want to bring focus back to. I appreciate that, because that's exactly what we want, you know, the American people to focus on. We want our armed service members to be safer. We will have another evacuation. And if we don't start to focus on how to fix this, it will end in more casualties, and that's unacceptable.
That was just outright great. I couldn't have said it better myself. What she actually did right there, whether knowingly or not, right? Because this guy, what he's insinuating is that Trump is despicable, and now that he's done this, that this is how the Afghanistan withdrawal is going to be remembered. And she goes on to just totally blow that narrative away. No. Sorry, there's no controversy here whatsoever. It's you guys that are making it the controversy. Love how she does that. Just let's flip it back. Yeah, you're right. Let's talk about Afghanistan and not talk about this, because that's what they're doing. They're the ones making this a controversy, not us, not everybody else, not the Gold Star families, none of that. It's you guys in the corporate press and the mainstream narrative machine that are turning this into some sort of controversial issue, as if you guys know what's going on. Y'all are supposed to be the fact bringers, and y'all are bringing hoaxes. That's nothing but what y'all are doing, is perpetrating a hoax, because it's BS. This one lady comes up, tries to tell them, hey, you can't bring a camera in here for political purposes. Well, we're not here for political purposes. Don't know, don't care. Give me the camera. Some sort of an altercation ensues, and we get this hoax going on. It's just absolutely mind-blowing what the corporate press is trying to do here, and what the mainstream narrative machine is trying to do here. It's mind-blowing, but we've already went over these point for point, so I think I'm going to end it right here. Y'all let me know what y'all think about all this. Do y'all see this as a hoax, the hoax for what it is? Or do you think that Donald Trump should have acted with more decorum and not filmed none of this, right? Which is ridiculous, right? Just, did he do this strictly for political purposes? Just let me know what you think down in the comments section. That's all I got for this one. I want to thank everybody for watching, and y'all try to have a good day and stay legitical. Peace.